Welcome, everybody, to today's episode 10 things that I did in my third podcast that I did not do in my first. I know I skipped a number, but that's just because I didn't make a video that day and I wanted to actually feature the third one. I can count. So the first thing that I did was I cut down the time to make it. The name of the podcast that I'm creating is called Minute to Motivate, where it's my goal to change somebody's headspace, right? If you're maybe down and you need to kind of get yourself up, get ready to go, maybe you have a huge meeting, maybe you're in sales and you have a client that's about to see you. It's my goal to help you in 1 minute or less to get into a better kind of mind state. So the podcast, again, is called Minute to Motivate. Go ahead and like it on your favorite platform, Spotify, iTunes, whatever. It took me 12 hours to produce a 1 minute podcast. Obviously, I'm new at this, but I don't think that is going to make me any money. It's my goal to make money off of my creativity. And spending 12 hours on something that lasts 1 minute when I also want to make YouTube videos, I have huge goals for this channel. It just doesn't make dollars and it doesn't make sense. The number two thing that I did was I acted like myself. I wasn't trying to be something that I wasn't. I even said in the first video critiquing my first performance that I felt like I was doing my best impression of Morgan Freeman. And if you want to go back and look at it, it's just like, this is a better representation of who I am and actually what the podcast is going to be like. So I acted like myself. I made sure that it was something that came from my heart and not that I was knocking off, anybody else. The third thing that I did was I got rid of the accompanying video. Accompaniment? Accompanying? Accompaniment. Accompanying. Abandoned? Unique New York. Unique New York. Accompaniment? Accompaniment. Accompanying. Accompaniment? When I set the goal of creating this podcast, I had huge goals where I wanted to make a podcast in the morning and a video to go along with it for Instagram so that I could hopefully grow my followers on there as well. It didn't quite work for me. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not going to go back and do that in the future, but quite frankly, it's been a long time since I committed myself to doing any sort of video editing. So to spend any time, putting together a digital, finding stock footage that fits, finding stock footage finding stock footage that is of a certain quality that I think represents what I saw a great Facebook post by Gary Vee today that he said, "You're not a perfectionist, you're just scared." By the way, go follow that guy. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Of course I'm doing a motivational podcast. This is just an aside. Of course I'm doing a motivational podcast, and I think that there are certain people out there that are on the cutting edge of inspiration and motivation. Gary Vee being one of them. Tony Robbins obviously being one of them. There's some amazing people out there that are doing this, and I don't even put myself in that same category. That actually really kind of goes back into number two, is where I acted like myself. I'm not in any position to motivate somebody to go and change the world. I think that the position that I'm in is somebody who can get you off of the couch and go do that hike. Somebody who can encourage you to put your artwork out there, even if it's not perfect. Somebody who can encourage you to admit that you want to be a creative person, that you want to live a creative life. That is where I am, and that's who I can be. I can't be Mr. In a world. That's not me. I'm not good at that. I don't really enjoy that. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy motivating my friends to do the things that they want to do in their life. And that's the goal with the podcast, is to encourage a larger scale of people to hopefully go and do that. The fourth thing that I did was I implemented an actual structure. It's got a beginning, it's got a middle, and it's got an end. I know that seems kind of simple. My Uncle Mike told me the best way to write a paper, and I'm going to stick with this, the best way to podcast. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. The fifth thing that I did was I really stuck to the script. I wrote something down, and I was excited about reading that. And I put as much energy and effort into that as I could. Also, I learned it. I learned what I was saying so that I wasn't reading it for the first time. I will say that there are a couple mistakes where maybe I mispronounced a word. I just wanted to put something out. The next thing that I did, like I said, was I really brought the energy on this one. I wanted to produce something that I would actually be motivated by. And for me, what I can actually control is the amount of energy that I put into it. The seventh thing that I did was I took myself off of the pedestal and put myself on the shoulders of giants. The format of the podcast has always been, in my mind, because it's brand new, has been to give these certain doses of wisdom in a pill form. I never claimed that I have this sort of wisdom. These people that have come before us do. And it has worked for hundreds and thousands and millions of people. And so I wanted to just kind of push that forward while giving it my own twist and my own edge and hopefully adding my own creativity to it. Number 8, proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. 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 My grandma would be proud of me. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. So the format that I've implemented is that now I'm going to kind of do somewhat of a book club. And this is, by the way, I have a feeling that I'm going to watch this in 60, 90, 120 days. And there might even be a lot of things that are different than what I'm thinking and expressing to you guys right now than what will actually have taken place. But the way that I'm doing it is I'm going to do it in chapters. So this first week was Zig Ziglar. Anybody who's in sales has heard of Zig Ziglar. Anybody who's ever been in multi-level marketing got a Zig Ziglar tattoo. But the reason why I wanted to do that was twofold. One is so that I can gain more knowledge myself. The second reason is so that I can hopefully eventually use that as an opportunity to sell the book that I'm essentially promoting or, pairing, and use affiliate links below the YouTube video. So that is a way to monetize my creativity. And I want to close the gap between the creativity aspect of it and the money aspect of it. For me, one of the reasons why I decided to start the podcast and to start the YouTube is that the company that I worked for, we were in the travel industry. I lost my job right when the coronavirus hit, and just yesterday, another 50 people lost their jobs. So all of the things that we think, all of our plan Bs are now not guaranteed anyways. So for anybody who wants to be an artist, who is maybe unemployed right now, now's your chance. The ninth thing just kind of came naturally. It just literally naturally happened. It wasn't the first one. I mentioned in the previous YouTube video that I put out for this series that I was so excited to do the podcast the entire week. The entire weekend leading up to that Monday, I was thrilled to do it. When I woke up, I was literally sick to my stomach because now the rubber had to meet the road. I was scared to put something out there. I was scared to be judged. I can tell you the quality of that first one is unbelievably terrible. I feel so liberated to have put something out there and be proud of the work that I put into it, that I don't care about the quality of it. For me, it was about the creative process and the doing aspect of it. That's what you're going to hear me say a lot in this series and the Minute to Motivate is the doers. The doers. Kanye West said something recently where he talked about he was criticized when he described himself as, on the level of Steve Jobs and Pablo Picasso and all of the greats. And he even recently reformed that. And he described himself as, no, I'm just a doer. I'm just a doer. And that was so unbelievably inspiring to me. Just do something. Just do anything. That was 10, right? Well, no, I think that was 10. Lists go to 10. I didn't make the rule. I've never seen a list go to 9. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how complete is this list? Oh, it's only a 9? Okay. I actually learned how to count. In my last YouTube video, when I said, these are the 10 things that I don't like about my podcast, and I only listed 9. And that was yet another, I bet you nobody will have noticed that unless they watch this video and then go back and watch that. Make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast. I'm extremely excited about that. I think I'm gonna be able to help a lot of people. That sounds so vain. And if you enjoyed watching me make the first couple podcasts, like and subscribe this and share it with your friends. Join me along for the journey as we grow the podcast, grow the Instagram, and we have a lot of fun stuff planned for this channel. Just to give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek, it's all about doing things. It's all about putting down your phone. I know I just promoted an Instagram app and Twitter and Facebook, but all this stuff is going to be about getting out there in the world. I'll leave you with this. You can right now turn your computer off. You can go out in the world and you can do anything. You can ask that boy or girl out that you've always wanted to. You can go skydiving if you wanted to. You can go bungee jumping if you wanted to. You can throw a dart at a map. Don't do that. Don't throw darts inside. You can go anywhere in the world that you want to. It's not going to happen tomorrow. You can go on a hike. You can go to the park. You can throw a ball around. You can reach out to a friend. You can have an hour-long conversation with somebody who you haven't talked to in a while. You can apologize to somebody. The world is yours. Go out, and I'm going to steal this from Mick Napier. Go out and just do something. Like and subscribe, guys. Thank you for following along with my journey. I'm very, very excited to have you here. Thanks.